Captain Sarah Knox stood at attention in the pristine white conference room, her green military uniform crisp and spotless despite the 3-day siege of Titan Base. Around the oval table sat representatives from 12 different alien species, each one eyeing her with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright contempt. The Galactic Council had finally agreed to meet with humanity, but only after human forces had somehow managed to hold off a combined alien fleet for 72 hours straight. Sarah was chosen as Earth's representative, much to the amusement of several council members. "So," rumbled General Vorthak of the Krillian Empire, his forearms folded across his massive chest. "The humans sent us a female. How quaint." Sarah kept her expression neutral, though her jaw tightened slightly. Vorthak stood nearly 9 feet tall, his blue-scale hide covered in ceremonial scars that marked his countless victories. His species had conquered 47 star systems in the past century alone. "I am Captain Sarah Knox, representing the Terran Defense Coalition," she said calmly. "I'm here to discuss terms for a ceasefire." Vorthak's laugh boomed through the chamber, a sound like grinding metal. "Terms? Little female, your species barely has spaceflight. We have been waging war among the stars since before your ancestors crawled from their caves." The other council members joined in his amusement. Ambassador Goliath of the Serpentine Collective hissed what passed for laughter among her people. Even the normally stoic Granite Lord seemed entertained by humanity's audacity. Sarah smiled sweetly. "Well, General, if we're so primitive, it must be embarrassing that we've held you off for 3 days straight. What's your excuse? Technical difficulties with your superior technology?" The laughter died instantly. Vorthak's 4 eyes narrowed to slits, his crest of spines rising in anger. "You dare mock the Krillian military machine flesh spawn?" "Mock? Oh no, General. I'm just curious about your tactical approach. See, from my primitive human perspective, sending wave after wave of ships into defensive positions without adapting your strategy seems, well, let's call it unimaginative." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Sarah could feel the tension radiating from every alien present, but she maintained her pleasant smile. "Perhaps," she continued, "your species evolved past the need for creative thinking when you got those extra arms. Must be convenient, having 4 hands to pat yourselves on the back with." General Vorthak slammed all 4 fists on the table, the metal surface denting under the impact. "Enough! I challenge this insolent female to single combat. Let us see how her clever words serve her against Krillian steel." Sarah's smile widened. "Single combat? How wonderfully old-fashioned. I accept." The other council members exchanged glances. Ambassador Goliath spoke up, her voice a sibilant whisper. "Captain Knox, perhaps you do not understand. General Vorthak is undefeated in over 300 duels. He has never lost any warrior in the galaxy. 300? Impressive." Sarah nodded appreciatively. "I'm sure he's very proud of beating up all those politicians and diplomats. But don't worry about me, Ambassador. I knew what I was getting into when I accepted this assignment." What Sarah didn't mention was that she'd studied every available recording of Vorthak's fights during the 3-day journey to the Council station. She'd analyzed his techniques, his weaknesses, his preferred tactics. The general was indeed a formidable warrior, but he had one crucial flaw. He'd never fought a human. The combat arena was a circular platform surrounded by energy barriers, with the council members observing from elevated seats. Vorthak entered from one side, resplendent in a ceremonial battle armor, carrying a massive 2-handed sword that looked like it could cleave a shuttle in half. Sarah entered from the opposite side, wearing standard combat fatigues, and carrying what looked like a simple metal staff. "Is that your weapon, human?" Vorthak bellowed. "A stick? Oh, this old thing?" Sarah twirled the staff casually. "It's just something I picked up in the gift shop. I thought about bringing something more impressive, but I didn't want to make you feel inadequate." The general's roar of rage echoed through the arena as he charged forward, his massive sword raised high. Sarah waited until the last possible second before stepping aside, the blade missing her by inches. "You know, General, for someone with 4 arms, you're remarkably slow," she commented, dancing away from his follow-up swing. "Are you sure you're feeling all right? Maybe you should sit down, catch your breath." Vorthak's attacks became more frenzied, his sword cutting through the air with enough force to split stone. But Sarah moved like water, flowing around each strike with an ease that made it look effortless. "Stand still and fight, coward," the general snarled. "Coward? I'm right here," Sarah replied, tapping him on the shoulder with her staff before spinning away from his retaliatory swipe. "Maybe you need glasses? I hear they make them by prescription now." The watching aliens murmured among themselves. This wasn't how these duels usually went. Typically, Vorthak would overwhelm his opponent within the first few exchanges, his superior strength and reach proving decisive. But Sarah wasn't fighting like any opponent he'd faced before. She was treating the deadly serious duel like a game, her commentary keeping up a steady stream of observations and jokes that clearly infuriated the general. "You fight like a dancing fool," Vorthak growled, sweat beginning to bead on his scaled hide. "Dancing? I prefer to think of it as tactical movement. You know, using my brain instead of just swinging a big sword around. Novel concept, I realize." Sarah's staff suddenly extended with a sharp click, revealing itself to be a collapsible weapon. She struck at Vorthak's knee, then his elbow, then the side of his head, each blow precisely targeted and delivered with surgical accuracy. The general staggered, his movements becoming more labored. His armor, designed for intimidation rather than actual protection, was proving to be more of a hindrance than a help. "What's wrong, General?" Sarah asked, easily avoiding another wild swing. "Getting tired? Maybe you should have spent less time conquering primitive civilizations and more time in the gym." "Impossible," Vorthak gasped. "You are just a female. Just a human." Sarah's expression hardened slightly. "Just a female? You know what, General? I think it's time you learned something about human females." Her next attack came without warning. The staff collapsed back to its compact form as she closed the distance, then extended again as she struck upward, catching Vorthak under the chin. The impact lifted him off his feet, sending him crashing to the arena floor. Before he could recover, Sarah was on him, and the staff pressed against his throat. "Here's your first lesson about human females," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent arena. "We've been fighting for survival since the day we were born. While you were playing war games with species that couldn't fight back, we were clawing our way up from the bottom of the food chain on a planet that tried to kill us every single day." Vorthak struggled weakly, but Sarah's leverage was perfect. The more he fought, the more pressure she applied to his windpipe. "Lesson 2, we don't fight fair. We fight to win. Honor is a luxury we can't afford when extinction is the alternative." The general's struggles grew weaker. Around the arena, the alien council members sat in stunned silence. The undefeated champion of the Krillian Empire was being systematically dismantled by a human female who barely came up to his chest. "And lesson 3, Sarah continued, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried to every corner of the arena. "Never, ever underestimate someone just because they don't look like you. Because while you were assuming I was weak, I was figuring out exactly how to kill you." She released the pressure slightly, allowing Vorthak to breathe. "Now, General, are you ready to discuss those ceasefire terms? Or would you prefer to continue your education in human combat techniques?" Vorthak's response was a barely audible croak. "I yield." Sarah stood up, offering her hand to help the defeated general to his feet. To his credit, Vorthak accepted the gesture, though his pride was clearly as bruised as his body. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Galactic Council," Sarah announced, turning to address the stunned aliens, "I believe we can now move forward with productive negotiations. As you can see, humanity is quite capable of defending itself. Ambassador Zelith was the first to find her voice. How is this possible? General Vorthak has never been defeated." Sarah shrugged. "Maybe he never fought anyone who actually wanted to win. You see, all those conquered species you've been picking on, they were probably trying to preserve their honor, fight by your rules, maintain their dignity." She walked slowly around the arena, her gaze moving from one council member to another. "Humans don't care about honor when our survival is at stake. We care about results. We'll use every advantage, exploit every weakness, Break every rule if it means protecting our people. She paused, letting her words sink in. You want to know why your ships couldn't break through our defenses for 3 days? It wasn't because we had better technology or superior numbers. It was because we fought like humans. We adapted. We improvised. We refused to give up even when the odds were impossible. General Vorthak, still recovering from his defeat, managed to speak. The female speaks truth. Her species fights unlike any other. They show no fear, no hesitation. That's because we've been afraid our entire existence, Sarah replied. Fear is just another tool in our arsenal now. We've learned to use it, to channel it, to make it work for us instead of against us. She turned back to the council. So here's how this is going to work. You're going to leave human space alone. You're going to stop your expansion toward Earth. And in return, we won't show the rest of the galaxy exactly what humans are capable of when we stop holding back. The silence stretched for long moments. Finally, High Chancellor Morg of the Synthetic Coalition spoke, his mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. What assurance do we have that humanity will honor such an agreement? Sarah's smile returned, but this time it carried a different quality. Less humor, more predator. Because, Chancellor, we keep our word. Unlike some species in this room, humans understand that reputation matters. We say we'll leave you alone. We'll leave you alone. We say we'll defend our territory. We'll defend it to the last breath. She gestured toward the defeated Vorthak. The general here thought he was dealing with a primitive species. Now he knows better. The question is, do the rest of you want to learn the easy way or the hard way? The implications hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Around the arena, alien faces showed expressions ranging from thoughtful consideration to barely concealed fear. Sarah had accomplished something unprecedented in galactic history. She'd not only defeated the undefeated champion of the Krillian Empire, but she'd done it while delivering a message that would resonate throughout known space. Humanity wasn't going anywhere, and anyone who tried to make them leave would discover exactly why humans had clawed their way to the top of their homeworld's food chain. The age of human expansion was about to begin, whether the galaxy was ready or not. 3 months after Sarah Knox had humiliated General Vorthak in single combat, the galactic political landscape had shifted dramatically. News of the defeat spread like wildfire through every star system, carried by traders, diplomats, and refugees alike. Sarah stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned Earth battleship Defiance, watching through the view screen as an entire Krillian battle fleet approached their position. 12 massive dreadnoughts, each one capable of glassing a planet, accompanied by hundreds of smaller vessels. Captain, reported Communications Officer Lisa Park, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship. It's General Vorthak himself. Sarah straightened her uniform and nodded, put him through. The view screen flickered, revealing the familiar blue-scale face of the Krillian general. But something had changed. Where once there had been arrogant confidence, now Sarah detected something that looked suspiciously like respect. Captain Knox, Vorthak began, his voice formal. I come bearing an urgent message from the Galactic Council. Let me guess, Sarah replied with a slight smile. They want to renegotiate our ceasefire terms? Funny how defeating their champion suddenly made humanity so much more interesting to them. Vorthak's 4 eyes blinked in what might have been embarrassment. The Council has discovered something that changes everything. There's a threat approaching this galaxy that makes our previous conflicts seem like children's games. Sarah's expression grew serious. Explain. Long-range sensors have detected a fleet of unknown vessels approaching from beyond the galactic rim. Their technology appears to be far in advance of anything we possess. Initial contact attempts have been met with immediate and overwhelming hostility. The general paused, clearly struggling with what he was about to say next. Captain Knox, the Galactic Council formally requests military assistance from humanity. Sarah couldn't help herself. She burst out laughing, the sound echoing through the bridge. Her crew exchanged glances, unsure whether their captain had finally snapped under the pressure. Oh, this is rich, Sarah gasped between laughs. 3 months ago, you were calling us primitive cave dwellers. Now you want our help? What's next? A formal apology for trying to exterminate us. Vorthak's crest of spines flattened against his skull. Captain, I understand your amusement, but this threat is real. They have already destroyed 3 border colonies. Millions are dead. Sarah's laughter died abruptly. Show me. The view screen split, displaying footage from the attacked colonies. What Sarah saw made her blood run cold. The mysterious invaders didn't just destroy their targets. They systematically harvested them, stripping away every trace of organic life before moving on. How long do we have? She asked quietly. Our best estimate suggests 6 months before they reach the inner systems, lest that they continue to accelerate their advance. Sarah studied the tactical data, scrolling past on her command console. The enemy fleet was massive, easily 10 times larger than anything the Galactic Council could field. Their ships moved with coordination that suggested either perfect discipline or shared consciousness. And you think humanity can make a difference against this? Vorthak nodded grimly. Your species has something the rest of us lack. Captain, you adapt. You improvise. You find solutions where others see only defeat. You mean we cheat? Sarah corrected with a grin. We break rules that everyone else considers sacred. We fight dirty when clean fighting gets people killed. Yes, the general admitted. That is exactly what we need. Sarah leaned back in her captain's chair, considering the implications. Humanity had spent the last 3 months consolidating its position, building defenses, and preparing for the inevitable alien counterattack that never came. Now they were being asked to defend the very species that had tried to conquer them. What's in it for us? She asked bluntly. Full membership in the Galactic Council, equal voting rights, access to all technologies and trade routes. Most importantly, recognition as a sovereign species with the right to defend our territory. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Everything we wanted from the beginning, before you decided humans were too primitive to deserve basic rights. Vorthak's silence was answer enough. I'll need to consult with Earth Command, Sarah said finally. But I can tell you right now, if humanity agrees to help, we do it our way. No interference, no second-guessing, no demands to follow galactic combat protocols. Agreed. Vorthak replied immediately. Captain, there is one more thing. The Council has elected you as Supreme Commander of the Combined Defense Fleet. This time, Sarah's surprise was genuine. Me? What about all those experienced alien generals with their centuries of tactical knowledge? None of them have ever defeated a Krillian champion in single combat. Vorthak said simply, none of them has proven they can think beyond conventional strategies. You have. 6 weeks later, Sarah stood in the command center of Fortress Station, the hastily constructed staging area for the defense of the galaxy. Around her, alien officers from dozens of species worked side by side with human personnel, preparing for the battle of their lives. The enemy fleet had been designated the Harvesters by intelligence analysts, a name that captured their systematic approach to consuming everything in their path. They showed no interest in communication, no desire for conquest in any traditional sense. They simply arrived, harvested, and moved on. Admiral Knox, reported Commander Jake Morrison, Sarah's old academy friend who now served as her strategic advisor. The outer perimeter sensors have detected the Harvester Advance Guard. They'll be in weapons range in 72 hours. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive holographic display that showed the approaching enemy. 2,000 alien vessels, each one larger than Human City, moving in perfect formation toward the galaxy's heart. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted non-binary entities, Sarah announced a mixed crowd of alien and human officers. It's time to show these cosmic locusts what happens when they crash a party uninvited. General Vorthak, now serving as her second-in-command, stepped forward. Admiral, the fleet commanders are requesting final battle orders. Sarah's smile was sharp as a blade. Tell them to forget everything they think they know about space combat. We're not going to fight these things like civilized beings. We're going to fight them like humans. The first phase of the battle went exactly as Sarah had planned. The Harvester fleet, expecting conventional resistance, found itself facing something unprecedented in galactic warfare: organized chaos. Human ships, smaller and more maneuverable than their alien counterparts, darted between the massive enemy vessels like angry hornets. They didn't try to match firepower or shield strength. Instead, they targeted specific components: sensor arrays, weapon mounts, and engine exhausts. Remember, Sarah's voice echoed through the fleet communication channels. We're not trying to destroy them outright. We're trying to make them angry, make them make mistakes. The Harvesters, accustomed to enemies that fought with honor and predictable tactics, found themselves increasingly frustrated. Their perfect formations began to break apart as individual ships pursued the elusive human fighters. Phase 2, Sarah ordered. Time to introduce our new friends to human engineering. Throughout the fleet, alien engineers watched in amazement as human technicians activated devices that shouldn't have existed. Computer viruses are designed to infiltrate alien systems. Kinetic penetrators that punch through energy shields like they weren't there. Weapons that fire not energy or projectiles, but pure information warfare. How is this possible? Gasped Ambassador Zelith, watching as Harvester ships began to turn on each other, their targeting systems compromised by human cyber attacks. We had 3 months to prepare, Sarah explained calmly. 3 months to study every piece of alien technology we could get our hands on. 3 months to find weaknesses that no one thought to look for. The battle raged for 18 hours. When the dust settled, the Harvester advance guard had not just been defeated, but utterly routed. Those ships that hadn't been destroyed had fled back toward the Galactic Rim, their perfect coordination shattered. In the aftermath, as alien crews celebrated the impossible victory, Sarah found herself alone with General Vorthak in the command center's observation deck. "How did you know it would work?" the general asked quietly. Sarah gazed out at the debris field that marked humanity's first major galactic victory. "Because I know humans, Vorthak. We're not the strongest species in the galaxy. We're not the smartest or the most advanced. But we have one quality that apparently no one else developed, which is we're absolutely, completely, utterly stubborn. When something tries to kill us, our first instinct isn't to run or surrender or negotiate. It's to figure out how to kill it back, only harder." She turned to face the alien general who had become her closest ally. "You mock me for being human, for being female, for being primitive. But you know what? Every insult, every dismissal, every assumption about human weakness just made us more determined to prove you wrong." Vorthak nodded slowly. "The Council realizes their error now. Humanity will never again be underestimated." Sarah's laugh was warm this time, without the sharp edge it carried during their first meeting. "Oh, General, you still don't get it. We want to be underestimated. It's our greatest tactical advantage." She gestured toward the celebration happening throughout the station. "Every time someone assumes humans can do something, we get a little more motivated to do exactly that thing, only better than anyone thought possible." The door to the observation deck opened, and Commander Morrison entered with a data pad. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different Harvester vessels. They want to negotiate." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "They want to negotiate?" The species that showed no interest in communication before suddenly wants to talk. "Apparently," Jake replied with a grin, "getting their fleet torn apart by primitive humans has given them a new perspective on diplomacy." Sarah looked back out at the stars, where human and alien ships moved in joint patrols, ensuring the Harvesters wouldn't return. In the distance, she could see construction crews already beginning work on the first human-designed defensive installations. "You know what the funny thing is?" she said to no one in particular. 3 months ago, the galaxy thought humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to expand. Now they're begging us to help them survive. What will you tell the Harvester negotiators?" Vorthak asked. Sarah's smile was pure predator. "The same thing I told the Galactic Council. Play nice, and we'll play nice. Try to harm human interests, and you'll discover exactly why evolution made us the apex predators on a world that tried to kill us every single day." She paused, savoring the moment. The galaxy wanted to see what humans could do when we stopped holding back. Well, now they know. And somehow, I don't think anyone will be mocking human females anytime soon. As if summoned by her words, the communication system chimed with an incoming message from Earth. The president's face appeared on the screen, beaming with pride. "Admiral Knox, on behalf of all humanity, congratulations on your historic victory. The entire planet is watching the news feeds. You've made us all proud." Sarah straightened to attention. "Thank you, sir. Just doing my job." "Your job?" the president laughed. "Sarah, you've single-handedly elevated humanity to a major galactic power. They're already calling you the most important military commander in galactic history." Sarah glanced at Vorthak, who nodded in confirmation. "It's true, Admiral. The victory broadcasts have reached every inhabited system. Your tactics are being studied in military academies across the galaxy." "Well," Sarah said with characteristic understatement, "I guess that settles the question of whether humans belong in galactic civilization." The image of Earth grew larger on the view screen as the station adjusted its orbit. Home looked the same as it had when Sarah left, but everything else had changed forever. Humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage not with diplomacy or trade, but with the complete humiliation of two separate alien threats. And at the center of it all was a female soldier who had turned mockery into motivation, insults into inspiration. General Vorthak's defeat had become historical, but not in the way he'd intended. Instead of marking another Krillian victory, it had become the moment when the galaxy learned to respect human determination. And Sarah Knox had become the woman who taught an entire galaxy that underestimating humans was a mistake no one would make twice.